I mean, to be honest, I'm not really surprised. I'm not surprised. We see this every single time in fighting. The underdog with the weird, unorthodox, strange fighting style that we think is not effective makes it through the ranks and wins. I would say this about Sean Strickland. His striking is actually very effective. We've seen it all the time. He bites on a lot of feints a lot, lifts up his leg a lot, and I still think there's a lot of holes that can be exposed. I think Alex Pereira exposed one of them, um, but he won. We see it all the time. Forrest Griffin, I think, beat Rampage Jackson for the title. Keith Jardine beat Forrest Griffin, two unorthodox, strange-looking styles. And they won the title. So we're seeing different fighting styles that aren't traditional boxing or whatever you want to call it. That doesn't look clean, and it works. They win. Michael Bisping, another fighter, versus Luke Rockhold. We're seeing these styles that don't fit a traditional look or style, of fighting, where you guard your chin. Nobody's doing this in mixed martial arts. Most fighters will have their hands down, moving side to side and things like that. We're not seeing hands up, moving forward for the most part. We see a lot of fighters do it, but it's very rare if you see like a very to the books fighting style. Like I said, I'm not surprised. We see it. This is his underdog story, and Izzy is very good at going back to the drawing board and fixing and working on things. It's hard to be the complete fighter. It is. It's very hard to, and you pick up new skills, you pick up new techniques, you look back at film and tape, and you study and realize what you did wrong and what you could do better. And I think Izzy is one of those people who can do that. With that being said, do I think he should get an immediate rematch? I mean, sure, he's already beat everybody in the division. If he wants it, obviously he can ask for it. Duplessis is there. I don't know if he's injured or not. I haven't really been following too much about what is going on with him. But yeah, if he wants to rematch, sure. I mean, although I think he should, he's been reigning for a very long time. He fights so much. He's active. He's training. He trains very hard. And, if he wants to, I mean, it's a money grab, obviously. He can go out there, knock out Strickland like he said he would do in the rematch, and he'll just go about his way of being middleweight champion. But, it just creates a different storyline. I mean, I'm pretty sure he would have loved to have won, but, I mean, he comes back, he wins. I mean, nothing changes. It's like, all right, well, we already knew he could do that. So, I mean, I would say, he sits out for a little bit and it's kind of hard for fighters to really sit out when they love fighting, they love training. He'll probably sit out, be like, I'm going to take some time off. But then after a week, he's back training. He wants to get in there. He wants to rematch, And all those emotions are probably going through his head like he wants to right now. And also, obviously, I'm thinking that too as a fan. And just in general, I mean, he's already beat everybody in the division. There's nobody else for him to fight. And besides Duplessis, maybe Khamzat, obviously the Strickland rematch. But, I mean, he could sit back, watch Duplessis versus Strickland, see who wins out of that fight. And I'm not a fan of Sean Strickland knocking out his training partners. I think that's classless. I think he has an ego in the gym, and I think a lot of people know that, and he just gets away with saying and doing a lot of things for whatever the case is. Not saying Izzy doesn't get away with saying stuff too, but I'm just saying, like, knocking out your training partners, I mean, that's not cool. And I don't know how many people actually like, and he's kind of talking big, like nobody wants to train, nobody wants to spar with me, because you're going too hard, you're doing too much, and you're trying to like knock your opponents out. I understand you want good rounds in sparring and you want to have a good fight, but yeah, nobody's gonna want to spar with you if you're doing too much, because they might take off the gloves and be like, fuck this, and just like start swinging, and then it becomes a real fight, and then it just becomes a thing. But apparently his gym lets this go. I mean, that's his gym, If they accept it, then it is what it is. Yeah, Strickland, he's a good fighter. I still think there's holes that could be exposed there. Him dropping his hands, biting out all types of feints, always lifting his leg. Alex Pereira exposed one of those holes, like I said before. But he won. He won. The unorthodox, not really unorthodox, it's actually pretty effective. It's actually pretty effective. I'm not just saying that because he beat Adesanya, but we can see it in his previous fights that it's not like this herky-jerky Keith Jardine style. It's not this basic punch combination of Forrest Griffin or whatever, it's it's good. He's able to read movements. His hand stays down by his waist. He can block kicks, punches. He sees a lot of things coming, and he trains and spars a lot. So with that, it also helps develop his style. Um, but hey, we'll see what happens. I mean, I feel like he can come back, and I feel like uh, Israel can come back and win. Did he look like himself? Yes. Does he have injuries and all these other things that fighters have before they get into a fight? Probably. Did any of that affect him in the cage? We'll never know unless he decides to say something. But honestly, he looked like himself. I just think Sean Strickland just got the better of him in the striking. Like Adesanya said, he couldn't really find. He found something faintly and a little bit, but he couldn't really find his rhythm. You find your rhythm when you start landing things, and he was landing, but it wasn't connecting where they needed to connect. They were blocked for the most part or evaded. Adesanya knows what his weaknesses are. He knows, and I'm pretty sure he trains those extensively. He's a rangy fighter. It's in the pocket. The in the pocket fighting, because he likes to throw hooks and things like that, are things that he's trained on. He's effective at blocking those when you get too close or evading those punches. So yeah, it's mixed martial arts. It's the journey to become the complete mixed martial artist. Mixed martial arts. Nobody is the complete mixed martial artist. Nobody. I mean, you could say John Jones, you could say Khabib or whatever. Khabib hasn't knocked out anybody, or I think he did. Yeah, he did. I think. No, maybe he didn't. But yeah, you're gonna have holes in your game. People could say John Jones lost Gustafsson fight and Dominic Reyes fight. There's things you have to go back and adjust and to try and be a more complete fighter. It's like, all right, I noticed that I was bad here. Let me go back and adjust those in training or in sparring. And yeah, it's just part of the game. It's part of the game of developing yourself to be a better fighter. Yes, another tool that I think Adesanya could add to his arsenal, which is Pereira. What Pereira does when you get in close or in the pocket. That's why Pereira is pretty effective, both rangy and in the pocket, because of his uppercuts. And I think if Adesanya adds more uppercuts to his game, it's a risky thing, but it's effective for Alex Pereira because he has like this lean back motion, which Adesanya has in his arsenal as well, like we've seen in the Robert Whittaker fight where he leans back and throws his uppercut. But it's also a hole of Alex Pereira's when he has his hands down, as we've seen, that he can get caught. But I think that would be a nice little tool he could add to his arsenal again, kind of bring that back. An uppercut against someone like Sean Strickland, I don't think he will see that coming because he has his hands kind of tight and down and low. I feel like that would be effective. I feel like it would be. Obviously, the 1-2 kind of caught him off guard there down the middle, but he made the read and adjustment, and he didn't get caught with it again. And, he won. Adesanya gave his respects. Very humble. Shook everybody's hand. And he's like, oh, it's okay. He's been here before. And it's like not a big deal. You know what I'm saying? It is a big deal, obviously, but it's like, he's like, all right, I'm going to be back. That's you can see it. You can see it. And I knew before this fight, this is his most important fight. I knew this was his most important fight, and I know that Adesanya trained hard for this fight. The underdog fights where the fighter comes in, Michael Bisping, Luke Rockhold, when they come in, they have nothing to lose sort of thing. It's their opportunity, their shot that they've been waiting on. This is the fight you need to train for the hardest because there are fighters that would take light of situations like this and not train as hard, not show up because they feel it's a walk in the park. It's just like, but yeah, just, he can go back, watch some film. Adesanya could just go back and watch. I'm pretty sure he watched film for this fight. His coaches watched film and train him and stuff, such and so forth. But yeah, just kind of see the holes that he has because I feel like there's a few that could be exposed. Obviously, he has a good jab. He's good at blocking punches. He's good at blocking. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. can he beat Duplessis? Duplessis has power. Izzy has power too, but Duplessis, he will move forward and fight. But the gas tank, I don't know what Duplessis. I think he said he's nose or something. Um, I think Sean beats Duplessis, man. I think so. I mean, I'm just thinking about the fights that I've seen, him gassing out and everything like that. And he has power, so he can land. But as we've seen, Sean Strickland is hard to hit. So I'm surprised he made it this far. I mean, I didn't really think he deserved the title shot. I mean, Robert Whitaker is still there, Duplessis. But I mean, hey, they said fuck it. Might as well give it to him. He beat a Russian. It's like, he's been looking pretty decent.